My name is Rhodri Wyn Owen, and we're sitting upstairs in the Curado Bar, just near the Westgate Street in Cardiff, overlooking the Millennium Stadium, which is, you can see just outside through the window to my left. And we're here tonight to launch my first novel, Delilah. Delilah is an entertainment. It's crime fiction. It's meant as a little bit of fun. I had a lot of fun writing it. I just believe in this day and age, the world's pretty mad at the moment. It's only getting madder, and I think we all need a little bit of fun. It all starts off at a small town newspaper in a town that's probably in South Wales, I would imagine. And there's a young journalist, Twm Bradley, who's in his late 20s, and his mentor is his editor, Humph Blake. Now, Humph goes missing, and Twm is shaken from his sort of everyday existence. He has to try and find out where Humph's gone, and before he knows it, he's come across the biggest story of his career. Body is found at the new National Rugby Stadium that's being built in time for the next Rugby World Cup. And Twm is wondering whether or not Humph has a link to this situation, and his journey reveals the truth and uncovers a conspiracy that no one could have imagined going on. Crime fiction these days, you only have to look at the TV, all the Scandi noirs. There's a few set in Aberystwyth, which is close to my heart. They're all quite dark, and I think that's fine. I really enjoy that sort of thing. But I couldn't write that, I don't think. I think life has to be serious, but there always has to be a smile as well, I think. So I wanted to reflect the humour of people, because I think that's how people get along, with humour. And I thought for these characters to ring true, they had to be funny. So I've tried to introduce a lighter element into it. I hopefully haven't shoehorned it in. Hopefully it's come naturally, but I'll let the readers make up their mind on that. My life has been spent mostly as a journalist, working for newspapers and also online. I suppose you run to safe ground when you're not quite sure where to go, and you have to write about something you know. So I wrote about a period in my life and in the life of Wales, if you like, which I thought was very interesting. It was when journalism was on the cusp of the digital era, and you had people from the old era and people from the new era, and there was a definite sense of you were crossing a line in life, and it was an exciting time. For some people, a worrying time. But it was a good time, I think, and I look back on those days fondly. There's actually a bit in the book where into the newsroom a box is delivered on the back of a sack trolley, and it's erected on the desk in the middle of the office next to the photocopier and the coffee machine. And it's basically the internet terminal, and it's regarded as a sort of instrument of reference, and that everybody was allowed to take their turn. Nobody could hog it. You could have 10 minutes each. And I remember that actually happening in the newspaper I was working for. Of course, now everybody's got it on their phone. But, so there's that sort of kitsch, looking back and feeling slightly embarrassed at how we viewed such, technology in those days. But I think that's nice. It's funny. It's romantic. One of the reasons I wrote this book is I had to leave my job. I found myself falling down with ME, CFS, chronic fatigue syndrome, or post-viral fatigue syndrome, whatever you call it. I'd had it once before, 10 years ago, and I'd had to give up another good job that I had. And that occasion, it took me 4 years to get back to health, which is something that many people who have ME are not able to do, but I was lucky. So this time around, it was about 10 years later, I really didn't want to go through the whole process of getting myself back together again and have nothing to show for it. So one of the things I decided to do early on was I decided I was going to write a book. So I sat down at the desk, and in the early days, I could only concentrate for about 10, 20 minutes at a time before I'd be hit with symptoms and I'd have to go and lie down or something. But I kept going back to the desk every day, and I kept writing, and the thing kept growing. And before long, I found I could sit there for 20 minutes, half an hour, an hour. And before I knew it, 2 years had passed, and I'd finished the first draft. And I remember that day I sat down, put the last full stop on the last sentence of the first draft, and realised that I'd been sitting there for 7 hours at the computer, which is something I couldn't have dreamed of 2 years previously. So as the book got bigger, I got better. I described it the other day as the ladder I used to climb out of a really dark place. And to be honest with you, I wrote it for me. Whether or not it was going to get published became an option when I realised that what I'd finished was okay. I thought, well, I wonder if this would get published. But I was quite happy for it just to be my book.